victory will encourage African Americans in the South to continue to push for more change. A spark is provided in the South as well to all this tension and pressure when Rosa Parks in 1955 refuses to move to the back of the bus. And you've seen this, of course, before, but you need to know Rosa Parks is not some goody two-shoes. Rosa Parks works for the NAACP, and she's an outspoken critic of segregation. She has worked hard, and she works for decades, really, even prior to this issue with the bus, to encourage African Americans to fight back. In response to her arrest for not moving to the back of the bus, we're going to see a bus boycott emerge. And here's an example of that bus boycott, where we'll see African Americans using car rides, carpooling, and that's actually what you see here. You see African Americans driving their cars around looking for other African Americans who are calling for a ride because they won't take the bus. And this is an example of where the civil rights movement is it's going. It's going to be happening now, one thing after another throughout the 50s into the 60s. This is all brought to a head in part, not just because of Rosa Parks' spark or the legal victories of Brown v. Board of Education, but because there are emerging leaders which give a vision, a voice to this effort, like Martin Luther King. He's a pastor like so many other leaders in the civil rights movement who come from churches in the 1950s and 60s. And what they say, and what King says, is that we need to non-violently resist. We need to push for change and do so in a way that is non-violent. And what he says is we have to protest, we have to provoke. If we don't protest, if we don't provoke, then we can't make change because, as King says, and here's part of your short answer, white people have been taught hatred and prejudice when they're young. If we don't protest, if we don't change, then nothing will change. Look, we don't have to totally blame white people for their racism and hatred because they've been taught it from a young age. But what we have to do is use love and protest as a way of showing their mistake. Not violence, love, to show them that they're wrong, to encourage them to understand. He says we must use the weapon of love. So many people are taught to hate us, they're not totally responsible for their hate. So yes, we have to protest because so many people aren't responsible. We have to help them. We have to teach them love since they've been taught hate. You're going to see these ministers, many again of whom are from churches, kind of use this message of protest and nonviolence and love to take the civil rights movement from just sit-ins in the North, from just court cases like Brown v. Board, and make it spread throughout the South.